The Vatican stands as one of the most iconic symbols of religious and historical power. Its towering walls guard not only the sacred treasures of the Catholic Church, but also some of the most important, yet secretive documents in the world. Inside these walls lies an archive so vast and mysterious that access to it is strictly limited. Only a select few are allowed to peer into its depths. For centuries, rumors have swirled about what is truly hidden behind those closed doors. What secrets do these ancient manuscripts contain? What truths have been deliberately kept from public view? The Vatican's secret archives are not simply a collection of religious texts, but an enigmatic repository of historical records that span over 1,000 years. Inside, scholars believe there are documents that could rewrite what we know about the past, manuscripts that could challenge conventional history. Yet, despite their potential significance, these treasures remain largely off-limits to the public eye. Why? What are they trying to protect? The Church has always prided itself on its control over historical narratives, yet the sheer scale of these archives suggests that something much more profound may be hidden there. From documents detailing the earliest days of Christianity to records of lost civilizations, the Vatican's archive is said to house knowledge so powerful it could disrupt the very foundations of what we believe to be true. Some claim it contains ancient texts that describe the real origins of humanity, records of civilizations that existed long before recorded history, and maps that chart lands now lost to time. But what is the Vatican's true motivation for keeping these records locked away? Some argue that it is simply a matter of tradition, centuries of carefully guarded knowledge passed down through the ages. Others suggest that the Vatican's hold over this knowledge is deliberate, aimed at preserving power and influence. Still, others believe that inside these archives lies a forbidden truth, one that could challenge the very teachings of the Church itself. One thing is certain: the Vatican is not a place that easily lets go of its secrets. The archives are protected not only by layers of bureaucracy, but by the very nature of their contents. Within these walls, the Church is believed to hold not just documents, but entire histories erased from public consciousness. What if some of these truths, some of these histories, are the very foundation of what we've been told to forget? What if the Vatican's power isn't just rooted in faith, but in its monopoly over knowledge lost to the ages? As the story of these hidden archives unfolds, the question remains: what lies beneath the surface? What truths are kept from us, and why? The Vatican's archives are often described as a treasure trove of knowledge, yet not all of it is religious in nature. Among the thousands of manuscripts are a series of ancient maps that have been kept from public view for centuries. These maps are unlike anything we know from traditional historical records. They depict lands that no one seems to recognize, unexplained territories that challenge what we've been taught about the geography of the ancient world. Some show lands that appear in no modern atlases. Others depict strange continents, long erased from history. These maps are, in a sense, windows into a past that may never have been acknowledged, hidden from our view, by forces that seek to keep these truths buried. One of the most mysterious maps in the Vatican's collection is the Piri Reis map, drawn in 1513. It is famous not only for its detailed depiction of the Americas, but also for its strangely accurate representation of the Antarctic coastline before it was covered by ice. How could a map from the early 16th century know what Antarctica looked like thousands of years before it became frozen? The answer, it seems, is either a strange fluke of geography or an ancient knowledge passed down through lost civilizations. And the Vatican, with its vast collection of ancient documents, may hold the key to answering this question. Could this map and others like it reveal the existence of civilizations that predate recorded history? Another map, thought to be part of the Vatican's private collection, seems to depict a vast landmass in the Pacific Ocean, an area that has never been explored by modern scholars. Its design is intricate, its geography unfamiliar. According to some researchers, the land shown on this map corresponds to the fabled lost continent of Mu, a mythical land that some believe existed millions of years ago. Could the Vatican's archives hold a forgotten map to an entire civilization, one that the world has long since forgotten? Beyond the maps themselves, the Vatican's documents tell a deeper story. These ancient maps are often accompanied by scrolls and texts written in strange, arcane languages. Languages that some believe hold the key to understanding the origins of these forgotten civilizations. If these texts are truly as old as they appear, they could reveal not only lost lands but the ancient knowledge that these civilizations possessed. What were their beliefs? What technologies did they have? And why were they lost to time? As experts and historians begin to study these maps more closely, the question grows ever more pressing. What does the Vatican know that we don't? The knowledge contained within these forbidden maps could change everything. It might reveal the existence of lost continents like Atlantis or Hyperborea, places spoken of in ancient myths but dismissed as mere legend. Yet, the Vatican's reluctance to share these maps only deepens the mystery. What if they are hiding something so significant that revealing it would force a complete rethinking of our history? The more we explore these hidden archives, the more the picture becomes clear. These maps may not just be drawings, they could be evidence of a much larger narrative, one that contradicts everything we've been told. But why hide this knowledge? What are they afraid we'll discover? The answer may lie in the connection between these maps and the ancient civilizations they depict. Perhaps the Vatican's true fear is not just losing its grip on history, but losing its hold on the very fabric of the truth itself. As we examine these forbidden maps in more detail, we'll begin to unravel the threads of a larger mystery. The Vatican's role in preserving or erasing history could be far more complex than we ever imagined. And perhaps, just perhaps, we are on the brink of discovering a secret that has been buried for centuries, waiting to be uncovered. And so, as we delve deeper into the Vatican's hidden archives, we are left to wonder, what else might be lurking in the shadows, waiting to emerge? History, as we know it, is not merely a collection of facts, dates, and events. It is a carefully constructed narrative, shaped over time by those in power. From ancient rulers to modern governments, the past is often rewritten to serve the agendas of those who hold influence. But what if some of the history we know and the history we don't has been deliberately erased? What if entire civilizations, entire stories, were hidden to prevent us from understanding the true course of human development? There are moments in history that make us pause, unsure of what we are really looking at. Consider the mysterious disappearance of entire civilizations, cultures, and knowledge. Ancient cities, once thriving with life, have been swallowed by time or destroyed by catastrophe. But what if their erasure was not accidental? What if these civilizations didn't simply fade into the sands of time, but were actively removed from records? What if history was intentionally altered to erase uncomfortable truths, inconvenient facts, or knowledge that threatened established systems of power? The concept of historical erasure is not new. For centuries, powerful institutions have been rewriting history to suit their needs. The ancient Egyptians, for example, erased the names of certain pharaohs from their monuments, ensuring that the world would forget their reigns. The Romans destroyed the records of their rivals, while later, empires suppressed knowledge that could undermine their authority. And, of course, the Church itself has been at the center of some of the most notorious examples of historical erasure. One striking example is the destruction of ancient texts by the Catholic Church during the Middle Ages. The burning of heretical writings, the suppression of scientific discoveries, and the censorship of alternative philosophies all served to maintain the Church's power. The very concept of forbidden knowledge was born from these dark chapters in history, as valuable manuscripts containing scientific theories, ancient wisdom, and spiritual practices were destroyed or hidden. But why? What were these texts trying to reveal that the Church found so threatening? This process of deliberate erasure has not been confined to ancient times. Even in the modern era, we have seen the suppression of knowledge, whether it be through the destruction of cultural artifacts, the suppression of archaeological findings, or the alteration of historical narratives. We have seen how certain pieces of history are deemed too dangerous to be allowed to see the light of day, whether they contradict religious beliefs, challenge political ideologies, or expose the darker side of human history. Take, for instance, the mysterious disappearance of ancient knowledge about advanced technologies. We know that certain ancient cultures, like the Egyptians or the Sumerians, possessed knowledge that seems far beyond their time. Yet, much of this knowledge has been lost or hidden. Some suggest that these civilizations may have had technologies far more advanced than what we possess today. What if the Church or other powerful entities had a hand in ensuring that this knowledge remained buried? The idea that entire continents, civilizations, and technological advancements have been deliberately erased is one that many still find hard to believe. But the evidence, both in the form of suppressed artifacts and in the anomalies found in ancient texts, suggests that we are only scratching the surface of what has been hidden. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this historical erasure is that it seems to extend beyond just the removal of knowledge. Entire continents, such as the lost lands of Atlantis, Hyperborea, or Lemuria, have been erased from mainstream history, despite their presence in ancient texts and maps. These civilizations, once described in great detail by ancient writers and explorers, have been dismissed as mere myth. But what if they were real? What if entire civilizations were deliberately erased from the pages of history because they represented a truth that we were never meant to discover? The truth is that history is never just about the past. It is about the present and the future as well. Whoever controls the past holds the key to shaping the future. If certain pieces of history were erased, what does that say about the world we live in today? What if the answers to some of humanity's greatest mysteries lie in those erased histories, waiting to be uncovered? As we begin to peel back the layers of this historical erasure, we are confronted with the possibility that what we think we know about our past is only the surface of a much deeper, hidden truth. And if history can be erased, what other truths might still be buried, waiting to be rediscovered? The Vatican is often viewed as a spiritual institution, a seat of religious authority and piety. However, beneath its sacred veneer lies a powerful political force with an extraordinary ability to shape the course of history. From its vast influence over European monarchies to its control over educational systems, the Vatican has long held sway over what is taught and remembered about the past. But what if the Vatican has not only preserved history, but has actively shaped and controlled it for centuries? The Vatican's role in historical erasure is perhaps best seen in its control over religious texts and manuscripts. Throughout the centuries, the Church has had the power to determine which books are considered sacred and which are to be relegated to the shadows. In the early days of Christianity, for example, the Church famously decided which Gospels would be included in the New Testament and which would be excluded. The Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, and many others were deemed too dangerous to be included in the Bible because they presented a different view of Christ's teachings. These suppressed texts were not lost by accident. They were deliberately removed from the historical record in order to shape the religious narrative that would dominate for centuries to come. But the Vatican's influence doesn't stop with religious texts. Over the centuries, the Church has controlled much of the historical record, particularly in Europe. From the rise of the Holy Roman Empire to the period of the Renaissance, the Vatican was at the center of political and intellectual life. During this time, the Church not only shaped religious thought, but also wielded significant influence over the study of history and science. The works of ancient philosophers, scientists, and historians were often filtered through the lens of Church doctrine. What didn't align with Church teachings was often suppressed or destroyed. One of the most famous instances of this suppression occurred during the Renaissance, when the Church's power was at its peak. It was during this time that many scholars began to question the geocentric model of the universe, which placed the Earth at the center of the cosmos. Figures like Copernicus and Galileo challenged this model, proposing instead a heliocentric universe, with the Sun at the center. This theory, though later proven to be true, was seen as heretical by the Church. Galileo, in particular, was forced to recant his views under threat of excommunication. The Vatican, in this case, had a direct hand in erasing the truth about the cosmos in order to protect its own authority. Even more troubling are the Vatican's actions in relation to archaeology. Throughout the centuries, the Church has had a long history of suppressing archaeological discoveries that threatened its version of history. In some cases, ancient artifacts and documents that contradict Church teachings were simply hidden away, buried deep within the Vatican's archives. The discovery of ancient texts that suggest the existence of civilizations that predate the Bible, or that challenge the historical accuracy of certain biblical events, has been met with resistance from the Church. These documents, some claim, have been deliberately suppressed in order to maintain the Church's monopoly on religious truth. Perhaps the most chilling aspect of the Vatican's role in historical erasure is its involvement in controlling the narrative around lost civilizations. As we saw in the previous section, there are maps and records hidden within the Vatican's archives that suggest the existence of lost continents such as Atlantis, Hyperborea, and Lemuria. The Vatican has, for centuries, been at the center of efforts to erase any trace of these ancient civilizations from the historical record. Some believe that the Church's power over history is so profound that it has been deliberately obscuring the truth about these civilizations in order to maintain its own dominance. Why, then, would the Vatican go to such lengths to suppress the history of entire civilizations? Some theorists argue that it is because these lost civilizations represented a form of knowledge, perhaps spiritual or technological, that the Vatican could not control. In an era when knowledge was power, the Church may have seen these ancient civilizations as a threat to its authority. By erasing their existence, the Vatican ensured that it could maintain its hold over the narrative of human history. As we move forward in our exploration, we will uncover more examples of the Vatican's influence over the historical record and the role it has played in shaping the past. From its involvement in the suppression of knowledge to its control over the flow of information, the Vatican's hand can be seen in nearly every chapter of human history. And as we begin to explore the Vatican's most closely guarded secrets, we will begin to understand the true extent of its influence and the cost of the knowledge it has kept hidden. The question remains, if these lost civilizations and forbidden truths were erased for a reason, what are we truly meant to believe about our past, and what have we been kept from knowing? Maps have always been more than just tools for navigation. They are windows into the world's past, a way for ancient peoples to document what they knew of the world and its geography. But what if some of these maps show places that should not exist according to mainstream history? What if these ancient maps, hidden away in places like the Vatican archives, reveal the existence of lost continents and civilizations that have been erased from our collective memory? One such map is the Piri Reis map, drawn in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis. At first glance, it seems like a typical medieval map, but as you examine it closely, you start to notice something extraordinary. The map is detailed, accurate, and most importantly shows the coastline of Antarctica. But here's the catch. Antarctica was not supposed to be known in the 16th century, at least not in the way that the Piri Reis map depicts it. At that time, Antarctica was covered in thick ice, and it was not until the 19th century that explorers discovered the frozen continent. So, how did Piri Reis, with no modern tools or scientific knowledge, accurately map a continent that was hidden beneath miles of ice? This question has confounded researchers and historians for centuries. The most straightforward explanation is that the map was based on ancient knowledge passed down from earlier civilizations, perhaps even civilizations that lived before the last ice age. Some believe that the Piri Reis map was not an isolated case. There are other ancient maps that suggest the same thing, that there were ancient peoples who knew the geography of the world long before modern history would have us believe. What if these maps were not just the work of medieval cartographers, but relics of a lost civilization that possessed knowledge far beyond what we think was possible at the time? The Vatican's archives are said to hold several such maps that show lands, continents, and civilizations that history has forgotten. These maps are not widely discussed in mainstream circles, perhaps because they challenge the narrative of how history unfolded. Maps like the Piri Reis map suggest that there was a time when advanced civilizations existed far earlier than we are taught in school. The more we delve into these maps, the clearer it becomes that they might not be mere anomalies or mistakes. They may be evidence of something much bigger, something we've been kept from understanding. But why would the Vatican, an institution that prides itself on preserving historical records, keep these maps hidden away? What purpose would there be in suppressing knowledge of lost continents and civilizations? Could it be that these maps challenge the foundation of everything we know about human history? The Vatican's secretive nature and its control over historical knowledge make it the perfect place to hide such records. These maps could hold the key to unlocking an entirely new understanding of human history, one that places ancient, now forgotten civilizations at the center of our origins. As the map of Piri Reis and others like it surface, one thing becomes clear. There are hidden pieces of our past waiting to be uncovered. These maps are not just relics of a bygone era. They are clues that suggest we may have been taught a version of history that is far from complete. What lies beyond the official narrative of history may be more extraordinary than we ever imagined. The question now is, if these maps are evidence of lost lands, why were they hidden? What do they reveal about the true history of Earth, and why have they been suppressed for so long? The answers, it seems, lie within the walls of the Vatican's hidden archives, waiting to be discovered. Among the many maps that defy our understanding of history, none are more perplexing than the Piri Reis map. It shows an accurate depiction of Antarctica unfrozen and lush, long before modern explorers would have even known the continent existed. This map has sparked countless theories and questions, but one of the most fascinating possibilities is this. What if Antarctica was once home to a thriving civilization, one that existed long before the ice descended and buried everything beneath it? If we are to believe the evidence that the Piri-Reis map presents, we must consider a shocking possibility that Antarctica was once part of a larger world. Thousands of years ago, this continent may have been a fertile land, inhabited by an advanced civilization with knowledge of the world beyond their borders. Yet today, the ice-covered continent holds little more than frozen silence. How could a civilization with such advanced knowledge of the Earth disappear, leaving behind nothing but a few scattered clues? Modern science tells us that Antarctica has been covered in ice for millions of years. But what if this wasn't always the case? What if, prior to this ice age, Antarctica was a temperate land, capable of supporting life? If this is true, then the implications are enormous. Could there have been an ancient civilization that not only thrived there, but also had the means to explore and map the world around them? The Piri-Reis map suggests that this could indeed be the case. Perhaps Antarctica was known to ancient peoples who lived thousands of years ago, well before the continent became frozen. If ancient maps like the Piri-Reis map are correct, then there must have been a civilization with advanced knowledge of geography and mapping techniques that predates recorded history. But where did these people go? How did their knowledge become lost? And why does the official history of Earth ignore their existence? Some theorists suggest that such civilizations may have been wiped out by catastrophic events, such as massive floods or shifts in the planet's climate. The Ice Age itself could have been a turning point, erasing any trace of the people who once lived there, their knowledge buried beneath layers of ice and snow. This brings us to the question of how this lost history has been concealed. The idea that entire civilizations could have been wiped from the Earth, their existence forgotten, raises disturbing possibilities. If civilizations existed on Antarctica or other now forgotten lands, why have we been kept from learning about them? Some believe the answer lies within the Vatican's archives. Could the Church have known about these civilizations and chosen to suppress their history? After all, if an ancient civilization once existed in Antarctica, it could potentially rewrite the history of humanity itself, undermining much of what we've been taught. What if the Vatican, in its quest to maintain control over history and knowledge, has hidden the evidence of these ancient people and their remarkable achievements? The Church's role in preserving historical narratives has often involved censoring or suppressing information that challenges their authority. From early Christian texts to the discoveries of ancient ruins, the Vatican has been at the center of efforts to control how history is told. If these maps are indeed showing a lost civilization, one that predates recorded history, then the question becomes, why would the Vatican hide such a revelation? The truth is, these maps are more than just geographical curiosities. They are pieces of a larger, hidden story. They point to a time when ancient civilizations had knowledge that has since been lost, buried beneath layers of ice, time, and secrecy. The Piri-Reis map may be just the tip of the iceberg. If these ancient civilizations once existed in Antarctica, then what else have we been kept from knowing? What other maps, records, and artifacts lie hidden in the Vatican's archives, waiting to be uncovered? The more we explore the mysteries of ancient maps and lost civilizations, the more the veil of history begins to lift. The truth, it seems, is far stranger than we ever imagined. As we continue to uncover the hidden truths of our past, we are left with one burning question. What has the Vatican kept hidden from us? And what will happen when these secrets are finally revealed? The Vatican's Secret Archives, a name that carries with it a weight of intrigue and mystery. As the largest and most secretive collection of documents in the world, this vault of hidden history has captured the imaginations of many, yet its contents remain largely out of reach. It is said to hold millions of documents, some dating back to the earliest days of the Church, and others that might change everything we think we know about the past. But what exactly is contained in these archives? And why is it that so few have ever laid eyes on its contents? The archives are not just a simple repository of papal letters or administrative records. They are a labyrinth of knowledge that stretches back over 1,000 years. From decrees of the early Church to manuscripts from the Renaissance, the Vatican's archives hold everything the Church has ever deemed important, yet much of it is not available to the public. In fact, access to the Vatican's secret archives is tightly controlled, and only those with the highest level permission can view its contents. Scholars must submit formal requests, outlining the specific materials they wish to examine, and even then, many find themselves denied access to the most valuable or controversial documents. This secrecy has only fueled the mystery surrounding the Vatican's collection. What are they hiding behind those thick walls of stone? While most of the archive's contents are not publicly known, rumors persist about what lies inside. Some suggest the archives hold the true origins of Christianity, documents that could rewrite religious history itself. Others claim that ancient forbidden texts, including Gospels and scrolls once thought to be lost forever, are stored within the vaults. What if these texts contain the real teachings of Christ, or details about early Christian rituals that differ radically from the official doctrine? But the intrigue doesn't stop there. The Vatican's archives are rumored to house maps that depict lands and civilizations long erased from history. Some of these maps seem to show territories that no longer exist, continents swallowed by time and catastrophe, but captured forever in ink. Could these ancient maps be the key to understanding the world's forgotten past? And if so, why has the Vatican chosen to keep them hidden? The question remains, what is so dangerous, so powerful, about these documents that the Vatican is determined to keep them under lock and key? There are whispers of manuscripts detailing not just ancient cities, but entire civilizations that predates any known history, ancient peoples whose names we've never heard, whose cultures have vanished without a trace. Could the Vatican be sitting on the knowledge of civilizations that existed long before recorded history? And if so, why has that knowledge been kept secret for so long? Despite the Vatican's efforts to maintain secrecy, the desire to uncover the truth persists. Historians, researchers, and even whistleblowers have tried and failed to crack open the vault. Those who have gained access to the archives often speak of the overwhelming sense of mystery that hangs over the documents. But with so much still locked away, it begs the question, is the Vatican protecting history or rewriting it? The very notion that there are pieces of history so significant that they require protection is enough to spark a curiosity that can't easily be satisfied. The question now remains, what is it that the Vatican doesn't want us to see? Could the answers be locked away, waiting for the right person to uncover them? As the search for these hidden truths intensifies, one thing is clear. What we know about history may only be a fraction of the truth. Throughout the years, many have attempted to uncover the secrets of the Vatican's archives. Some have approached the task with academic curiosity, while others have been driven by a deep desire to reveal the forbidden knowledge hidden behind the church's walls. But despite their best efforts, most have been met with resistance, opposition, or outright silencing. The Vatican's secrecy is a formidable wall, and few have managed to breach it. Yet, there are stories of those who came close: historians, researchers, and even former insiders who have tried to reveal what lies beneath the surface, only to be stopped in their tracks. Perhaps the most famous case is that of the historian Malachi Martin, a former priest who, after years of working inside the Vatican, became a vocal critic of the Church. Martin claimed to have had access to some of the Vatican's deepest secrets, and in his writings, he hinted at a truth so staggering that it could shake the very foundation of Christianity. He spoke of documents and manuscripts that described events and teachings that were so radical they were kept out of the public eye. According to Martin, these writings contain knowledge that could fundamentally change the way we view the history of the Church and humanity itself. But despite his claims, Martin never revealed exactly what he had seen, and he was never able to fully expose the Vatican's darkest secrets. Other researchers have made similar attempts, though many of them met a less publicized fate. Take, for example, the case of the Italian archaeologist Dr. Antonio Cacchioli, who spent years studying ancient manuscripts in the Vatican archives. Cacchioli claimed to have uncovered evidence of early Christian rituals and texts that were deliberately hidden by the Church. Yet, when he began to publicly speak out about his discoveries, he was swiftly silenced. His research was dismissed as controversial, and his work was buried under a mountain of skepticism. Cacchioli, like many before him, found himself facing not just the Vatican's walls, but an entire system designed to prevent the truth from reaching the light of day. In more recent years, whistleblowers within the Vatican have also attempted to shed light on the hidden documents of the archives. Some claim to have witnessed firsthand the suppression of materials that contradict official church teachings. These insiders speak of hidden scrolls, ancient texts, and even maps that depict lost civilizations, all of which were kept under lock and key. Yet, despite their testimony, these whistleblowers are often met with silence or worse, persecution. Their efforts to expose the Vatican's secrets often result in professional ruin, personal threats, or even exile. But perhaps the most unsettling story comes from those who have actually had limited access to the archives, only to find themselves stymied at every turn. In one particularly eerie case, A prominent historian was allowed to view certain documents for a short period of time. What they discovered within those documents would have shocked the world. Ancient writings that described forgotten lands, lost civilizations, and technologies far ahead of their time. But before they could fully analyze the materials, the historian was informed that their access was being revoked. The documents were sealed, and any attempt to further investigate was swiftly shut down. This historian, like many before, was left with only fragments of a story too dangerous to tell. These stories are not isolated incidents. They are part of a pattern. Each failed attempt to uncover the Vatican's secrets reveals just how deeply the Church is invested in maintaining its control over history. The Vatican's power over the past is so great that it will go to extraordinary lengths to suppress knowledge that might challenge its narrative. The question, then, is not whether these secrets exist, but why they remain hidden, and who stands to lose if they are ever brought to light. As we continue to explore the Vatican's role in shaping history, it becomes clear that its grip on knowledge is not just about preserving religious doctrine. It is about controlling the very narrative of human history. And as these researchers' stories show, the pursuit of truth often comes at a high cost. The question remains, how far are we willing to go to uncover the hidden history the Vatican doesn't want us to know? The road to unveiling these secrets is long and treacherous, but with each revelation, we get closer to understanding why the Vatican is so determined to keep its archives closed. What truths are they so desperate to protect? What will happen when these secrets are finally exposed to the world? Only time will tell. The Vatican has long been more than just the center of the Catholic Church. It has been a monumental political and cultural force. For centuries, its influence extended far beyond matters of faith, reaching into the corridors of power in Europe and across the globe. The Church has played a pivotal role in shaping the political landscape, often guiding or dictating the fate of nations. From the papal influence over monarchies to the political maneuvering that shaped European wars, the Vatican's power cannot be underestimated. But perhaps, most intriguingly, the Church's political clout also extends into the realm of history itself. In ways both subtle and overt, the Vatican has shaped the very narratives that define our understanding of the past. History, as we know it, is often seen through the lens of those who control its narrative. The Vatican, with its vast wealth, political alliances, and unwavering influence over education and culture, has been in a position to manipulate the course of history to serve its interests. Through the centuries, the Church has played a key role in determining which events would be remembered and which would be erased. Many of the historical records we rely on today have been shaped by the Church's hand, either through direct action or through the establishment of institutions that controlled the flow of information. Take, for example, the era of the Crusades. The Vatican was not just a religious authority during this time, but a political power with vast influence over European monarchies. Popes were able to dictate the outcomes of wars and the establishment of new territories, influencing the geopolitical landscape of the medieval world. These events, though deeply tied to the spread of Christianity, were also deeply intertwined with the Church's desire for political dominance. The Vatican's role in this period is not just one of spiritual leadership, it's one of political expansion, rewriting the very foundations of European history. In more modern times, the Vatican's influence continued to shape history. During the Renaissance, when Europe was undergoing a period of rapid intellectual and artistic growth, the Vatican's involvement in the arts was not just about spiritual guidance. It was about control over the narrative of human progress. The Church funded much of the artwork and literature that defined the era, ensuring that the story of humanity, as told through these works, aligned with its views on divine authority. Even as new scientific discoveries began to challenge established views, the Vatican's grip on knowledge ensured that only certain ideas would prevail, while others were suppressed or disregarded. But perhaps the most profound influence the Vatican has had on history is in the realm of knowledge itself. The Church's authority over intellectual thought has always been rooted in its control over education and the dissemination of knowledge. In many parts of the world, the Vatican was the primary source of learning for centuries. Universities, libraries, and schools were either directly controlled by the Church or were influenced by its teachings. This allowed the Vatican to curate the knowledge that was passed down through generations, ensuring that certain truths were preserved, while others were deliberately hidden. It is here, in the manipulation of knowledge, that the Vatican's political power becomes even more significant. The control over what people learn about history, science, and the natural world gives the Vatican the power to shape how entire generations perceive the world. If certain pieces of history could be erased either through omission or alteration, then the Vatican could effectively control how the future would unfold. By shaping the past, they could guide the trajectory of civilization itself. The Vatican's influence extends far beyond the borders of Italy. The Church's political machinations have touched every corner of the globe. It has shaped the destinies of nations, from the establishment of colonial empires to the rise of modern nation-states. And as we'll see in the next section, this power to influence history has not only extended to political events, but also to the deliberate erasure of inconvenient truths such as the existence of lost civilizations and ancient knowledge that the Vatican has kept hidden from the world. As we peel back the layers of history, we realize that the Vatican's grip on global events and the narratives we are taught is far stronger than we might have imagined. What if the version of history that we have all accepted is not the whole truth, but one carefully crafted by those in power? The answer to that question may lie within the very archives that the Vatican has worked so hard to conceal. In the complex world of power, knowledge has always been one of the most coveted commodities. The Vatican, with its centuries-old authority, has mastered the art of controlling knowledge, not just to maintain its religious dominance, but to ensure its political and cultural authority. By curating, suppressing, and even altering historical records, the Vatican has been able to manipulate the knowledge that shapes our understanding of the world. The control of knowledge has always been about control of the future, and the Vatican's use of this power is one of the most subtle, yet profound aspects of its influence over global history. From the earliest days of the Church, the Vatican understood that the ability to control what people knew was essential to maintaining authority. One of the most powerful tools at its disposal was the control of religious texts. The Bible itself, as we know it today, was shaped by decisions made by the Church centuries ago. When the early Church Fathers met to determine which books should be included in the New Testament, they didn't just select texts that would tell the story of Jesus. They selected the texts that would shape the way the world would understand Christianity for the next 2,000 years. The apocryphal Gospels, which offered alternative views of Christ's teachings, were excluded for their divergent views, and many of these texts were buried or destroyed. The story of Christianity, as told by the Vatican, became the only version that mattered. But the manipulation of knowledge didn't stop with the Bible. As the centuries passed, the Vatican continued to wield its power over intellectual thought, often suppressing or distorting ideas that did not fit within the Church's narrative. In the Middle Ages, when the world was beginning to question the nature of the universe, the Vatican became a powerful force against scientific progress. The works of Copernicus and Galileo, who challenged the geocentric model of the universe, were suppressed, and these early scientists were branded as heretics. The Vatican, fearing that these discoveries would disrupt its control over knowledge and spiritual authority, fought hard to suppress these ideas, keeping them out of the public eye for centuries. This control over knowledge wasn't limited to religious or scientific matters. The Vatican also held immense power over education. For centuries, the Church was the primary institution that governed the dissemination of knowledge, especially in Europe. It controlled the universities, the curriculum, and even the training of scholars. It was the Church's decision what would be taught, and, more importantly, what would not. If certain ideas were considered dangerous either to the Church's doctrine or its political interests, they were suppressed. And in many cases, this suppression wasn't just intellectual, it was literal. Books were burned, libraries were destroyed, and scholars were silenced. The most insidious form of knowledge manipulation, however, may have been the Church's role in erasing inconvenient truths from history itself. The Vatican's influence over historical records was far-reaching, and there are many instances where the Church actively worked to suppress information that didn't fit with the official narrative. Entire civilizations, such as Atlantis, Hyperborea, and Lemuria, were erased from history, their existence dismissed as mere myth. But why? What was so threatening about these ancient civilizations that the Church felt the need to bury them? The answer, some argue, lies in the power these civilizations may have had over knowledge itself. Ancient texts and maps, some hidden away in the Vatican's archives, suggest that these lost civilizations may have had access to technologies or wisdom that the Church could not control. If these civilizations had discovered advanced science, philosophy, or even spiritual teachings that didn't align with Church doctrine, then their knowledge represented a direct threat to the Vatican's power. By erasing these civilizations from history, the Vatican could prevent any challenge to its authority over knowledge. The manipulation of history and knowledge, however, is not just about the past, it's about the future. If the Vatican could control what people believed about the past, it could influence how they saw the future. The erasure of entire civilizations, of ancient knowledge, served to maintain the Vatican's grip over both history and progress. In this way, the Vatican didn't just influence religion, it influenced the very course of human development. It dictated which ideas would flourish and which would be forgotten. The question that arises, then, is not just about what has been erased, but why. Why has the Vatican worked so hard to suppress certain truths about the ancient world? What knowledge, what civilizations, what lost technologies have been kept from us? And what would happen if this knowledge were ever revealed? As we move forward, we will examine some of the maps and documents that the Vatican has kept, hidden maps that may hold the key to understanding the lost civilizations and ancient knowledge the Vatican has long sought to keep buried. These documents are not just relics of the past, they are pieces of a larger, hidden truth. And as we uncover these secrets, we are faced with the possibility that our understanding of history of humanity itself may need to be completely rewritten. Beyond the realms of conventional history, beneath layers of time and myth, there lies a civilization so enigmatic it has become the stuff of legends. This lost kingdom, Hyperborea, was described by ancient Greek scholars, yet its true nature continues to baffle modern historians. The name itself conjures visions of a place far beyond the reach of known maps, a civilization existing at the very edge of the earth, nestled in the frozen expanse beyond the Arctic Circle. But could this fabled kingdom have been more than just a myth? What if Hyperborea was a real, advanced civilization, hidden from the world for reasons that have never been fully understood? Ancient Greek writers, most notably Herodotus and Pindar, spoke of a land that lay in the far north, beyond the reach of the winds that ravaged the rest of the known world. In these texts, Hyperborea is described as a paradise, an eternal spring where the people lived free of disease, aging, and conflict. The Hyperboreans, as they were called, were said to be giants, living for centuries, gifted with knowledge that transcended ordinary human understanding. The gods themselves were thought to visit this northern kingdom, drawn to its mystical qualities and the superior wisdom of its people. In these ancient accounts, we see the outlines of something truly extraordinary, an advanced society, cloaked in the mystery of its extreme northern location and wrapped in the enigma of its sudden disappearance. But as tantalizing as these descriptions are, they leave more questions than answers. Where, exactly, was Hyperborea located? Some have speculated that it could have been somewhere near the Arctic, possibly even on the shores of what we now call Antarctica, before the ice swallowed it whole. Others suggest that it was located in what we now refer to as Siberia, or Northern Europe, its legacy hidden beneath centuries of ice and snow. The truth remains elusive. What remains undeniable, however, is that the myth of Hyperborea has persisted through the ages, despite the lack of concrete evidence. Could this simply be the imagination of ancient poets? Or was there once a civilization so far advanced it defies modern understanding? Interestingly, the idea of Hyperborea isn't limited to Greek mythology. Several other ancient cultures, ranging from the Norse to the Egyptians, seem to have referenced similar northern lands, possibly hinting at a shared myth, or even a long-lost truth. Some of these cultures spoke of a race of beings with extraordinary abilities, far surpassing anything that would be considered normal by today's standards. In Norse sagas, we hear of the gods descending from a distant northern land to impart their knowledge on humankind. Could these stories be remnants of Hyperborean knowledge, passed down through generations? Was there a civilization that once bridged the gap between human beings and gods? A civilization now forgotten, erased from the official record? This brings us to a crucial question. Why has Hyperborea remained hidden for so long? Could the Vatican hold the key to understanding what truly happened to this lost kingdom? As much as it seems to be a story born of myth, there are records that suggest otherwise. In the Vatican's vast archives, there are maps, drawings, and references that hint at the existence of lands far beyond what we are taught in history books. Some ancient maps, like the Piri Reis map, show strange coastlines that appear to have been drawn based on ancient knowledge, possibly even of regions now buried under layers of ice. The Vatican, with its centuries-old hold over knowledge, may very well possess documents that refer to Hyperborean knowledge that was buried, hidden, or deliberately suppressed to prevent the world from knowing the true history of our planet? Perhaps the real question is not whether Hyperborea existed, but why it has been so carefully erased from the historical record. Could the knowledge contained within this lost civilization have been seen as a threat to the Church's authority? Was there something about Hyperborea's advanced understanding of the world, or its connection to the divine, that would have disrupted the foundations of organized religion and its control over history? The idea that an ancient civilization held wisdom that could challenge everything we have been taught about humanity's origins is a possibility too great to ignore. As we delve deeper into the notion of lost civilizations, the story of Hyperborea becomes a vital thread in the tapestry of hidden knowledge. Could the surviving records in the Vatican archives hold the key to unlocking the secrets of this forgotten kingdom? Are we truly just scratching the surface of something far greater, something deliberately concealed from our view? The mystery of Hyperborea continues to call to us from the shadows of history, promising answers that could reshape our understanding of the world itself. The more we uncover about Hyperborea, the more it seems that what we think we know about our past is only the beginning. The idea of a lost, northern civilization so advanced that it could rival the gods themselves challenges the very concept of history as we know it. What if the true history of humanity is far older, far more intricate, and far more connected to the divine than we've ever been taught? These questions remain unanswered, and the mystery of Hyperborea beckons us to explore further, to dig deeper into the past in search of truths that may be more extraordinary than we can imagine. The story of Hyperborea is far from over. As we continue to explore the lost civilizations of the Earth, we find ourselves asking, could Hyperborea be just the first of many forgotten lands waiting to be rediscovered? What else has been hidden beneath the icy veil of time, waiting to come to light? The answers may lie somewhere within the depths of the Vatican's archives, waiting for those daring enough to seek them. The legend of Atlantis, one of the most enduring and captivating myths in human history, has fascinated explorers, scholars, and mystics for centuries. From Plato's accounts of a grand civilization that flourished and then mysteriously disappeared, Atlantis has remained an enigma, a symbol of ancient knowledge and wisdom lost to time. The story of Atlantis is not just a tale of a vanished civilization. It is a key that unlocks the door to a much larger mystery, one that stretches deep into the heart of history itself. Could the story of Atlantis be based on something far more than myth? Could there be evidence of this lost continent, hidden away in the Vatican's archives, waiting to be revealed? Plato's writings are among the earliest and most influential sources about Atlantis. In his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, he describes a highly advanced civilization, located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar, that was rich in knowledge, culture, and technology. According to Plato, Atlantis was a thriving empire, home to powerful kings, magnificent temples, and impressive feats of engineering. The Atlanteans were said to have mastered science, architecture, and even the art of navigation, traveling across the seas with an understanding of the world that was far beyond that of contemporary civilizations. But in a single cataclysmic event, Atlantis sank beneath the waves, disappearing without a trace. Could this be the truth of Atlantis, or is it merely an allegory, a cautionary tale written by Plato to warn of the dangers of hubris? Despite the prevailing skepticism about its existence, there have been numerous theories about where Atlantis might have been located. Some believe it lies in the Mediterranean Sea, while others point to the Caribbean or the Antarctic region, where ancient maps and geological evidence suggest that civilizations may have once flourished. In recent years, archaeological discoveries and the examination of ancient texts have pointed to the possibility that Atlantis may have been real, and its secrets may have been deliberately suppressed by those in power. Could the Vatican, with its vast collection of ancient texts and maps, be hiding evidence of Atlantis? The archives of the Vatican are known to contain records of ancient civilizations, some of which contradict mainstream historical understanding. There are rumors of maps, both ancient and medieval, that show the location of a lost landmass Atlantis before it supposedly sank. These maps have never been made publicly available, hidden away in the Vatican's secretive vaults, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover them. If Atlantis did exist, and if the Vatican possesses records that can confirm its existence, why has this knowledge been kept hidden for so long? Some historians and researchers have suggested that the Vatican's reluctance to release these documents stems from the potential upheaval it could cause. The revelation of Atlantis's existence would not only challenge the current understanding of ancient history, but could also shake the foundations of religious doctrine. The Church has long maintained control over history, and the disclosure of a forgotten civilization like Atlantis could upend the narrative it has carefully constructed over centuries. If Atlantis was real, and if its knowledge was passed down through ancient cultures, then the very idea of human history of our origins would have to be rewritten. Beyond the maps and documents that might exist within the Vatican's archives, there are other clues that suggest Atlantis was not just a myth. Some ancient texts, particularly those from Egypt and Mesopotamia, make reference to a lost civilization with advanced knowledge. These cultures seem to share a common thread, knowledge of a great, lost empire that once existed, but was wiped from the face of the earth. Could these references be describing Atlantis, or another forgotten civilization whose story has been buried by time? As we delve deeper into the mystery of Atlantis, we must also consider the possibility that the lost knowledge of this civilization was deliberately hidden by those in power. The Vatican, with its centuries of influence over knowledge and history, could very well be sitting on documents that reveal the true story of Atlantis. Whether these secrets are ever revealed remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: the story of Atlantis is far from over, and the Vatican's role in preserving or suppressing this knowledge may hold the key to unlocking one of the greatest mysteries of all time. For many centuries, the story of Lemuria has lingered in the shadows of history, a mythical land lost to time, surrounded by mystery, speculation, and a sense of wonder. The very name Lemuria evokes images of ancient wisdom, advanced technologies, and civilizations that predate anything we know today. It's a name synonymous with mystery, and yet it's a name that has almost completely vanished from the historical record. Could it have been real? And if so, why would its existence have been erased from all records? Lemuria is said to have been a vast continent that once stretched across the Indian and Pacific Oceans, bridging the gap between Africa, Asia, and the Americas. Early theories suggested that it was a cradle of ancient civilization, home to advanced peoples with knowledge that far surpassed our understanding of technology and spirituality. Some even speculated that the inhabitants of Lemuria were the direct predecessors to the ancient Egyptians, the Sumerians, and other early civilizations. Like the Atlanteans, the Lemurians were believed to possess extraordinary wisdom, particularly in matters of spirituality, science, and mathematics. The idea of Lemuria first gained widespread attention in the 19th century, particularly through the works of the renowned zoologist Philip Sclater, who proposed the theory of a sunken continent to explain the distribution of certain animal species across the Indian Ocean. This idea was later expanded upon by theosophists like Helena Blavatsky, who linked Lemuria to her broader mystical teachings, suggesting that the lost continent was not just a geographical entity, but a spiritual hub of ancient knowledge. But if Lemuria was a thriving advanced civilization, what happened to it? Why did it vanish without a trace? According to the most widely circulated theories, Lemuria was destroyed by a cataclysmic event, either a massive flood, a natural disaster, or even a shift in the Earth's crust. It is said that the land sank into the sea, leaving nothing behind but a distant memory and a trail of myths. In ancient texts, there are tantalizing hints that refer to a lost land, often describing it as a place of great power. The Egyptians, for example, spoke of a land beyond the Great Sea, and other cultures mention distant lands where the gods once walked. If we look at these references from the perspective of Lemuria, we begin to see striking similarities. Some scholars believe that the lost knowledge of Lemuria may have been preserved in other ancient civilizations, particularly in the myths and legends of Atlantis. It is possible that the survivors of Lemuria, after their land was destroyed, spread their knowledge across the world, passing down fragments of their culture and wisdom. But why, then, would the history of Lemuria be erased? Why has so little been passed down about this enigmatic civilization? The answer may lie in the hands of those who control history, those who have the power to decide what gets remembered and what gets forgotten. The Vatican, with its vast collection of ancient texts, maps and documents, may hold the key to understanding why Lemuria was erased from the historical record. The Vatican's archives, filled with centuries-old manuscripts, maps and forgotten knowledge, may contain hidden references to Lemuria. Ancient maps of the world that predate modern geographical knowledge could hold the secrets of this lost continent. If the Vatican has knowledge of Lemuria, why would they keep it hidden? Perhaps it is because the story of Lemuria challenges everything we think we know about human history. If an advanced civilization once existed, far older than any known culture, then the narrative of human development, the one that places ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia at the start of civilization, would have to be rewritten. The Vatican, with its long-standing power over the interpretation of history, may have suppressed these inconvenient truths to maintain its hold on what is accepted as official history. Could it be that Lemuria wasn't just a land that sank beneath the waves, but an entire culture and way of life deliberately erased from the public consciousness? As we delve deeper into the idea of lost civilizations, we find ourselves asking more questions than answers. What happened to Lemuria, and why has its story been buried? Could the Vatican hold the key to uncovering its true history, or is the knowledge of Lemuria lost forever beneath the surface of the sea? The idea of lost civilizations like Lemuria, Atlantis, and Hyperborea is an intriguing one, especially when we begin to explore the theories that suggest these civilizations were destroyed by catastrophic events. Natural disasters, climate changes, and even planetary shifts have been proposed as the reasons behind their sudden and violent disappearances. But what if these events weren't just acts of nature? They were part of a global reset, an event so powerful that it not only wiped out entire civilizations but also erased the very memory of them from our history books. If we examine the historical record, we can see signs of ancient catastrophes that could have had a devastating effect on the world. The mythologies of cultures across the globe speak of great floods, massive earthquakes, and even celestial events, tales of cataclysms that destroyed entire civilizations. The most well-known of these is the biblical flood, which many believe was a global event that wiped out the first human civilizations. However, similar flood myths exist in cultures as diverse as the Sumerians, the Babylonians, and the Native Americans. What if these flood myths are not just stories but memories of a real event, one that destroyed not just the physical remains of a lost civilization, but also its history? The idea of a global reset where entire cultures and technologies were lost in a single devastating event is not just confined to ancient myths. Modern scientists have uncovered evidence that suggests catastrophic events in Earth's past may have caused widespread extinctions and the collapse of advanced societies. One such event is the Younger Dryas, a period of sudden and dramatic climate change that occurred around 12,000 years ago. This period is thought to have been marked by a rapid cooling of the Earth's climate, followed by a sharp rise in temperatures. The effects of this climate shift would have been catastrophic, wiping out entire species and disrupting human societies. Could such an event have been the catalyst for the destruction of civilizations like Lemuria or Atlantis? It's possible that these cultures, which were likely highly advanced for their time, were not just destroyed by a single event, but were lost over time due to a combination of climate shifts, natural disasters, and perhaps even conflicts between civilizations. The remnants of these societies, if they existed at all, may have been buried by the very changes that wiped them out, their knowledge lost to the rising seas, the shifting continents, and the ravages of time. But why, then, would the knowledge of these civilizations be erased from history? Could the Vatican have played a role in suppressing this information, as it has with other inconvenient truths? The Church, throughout history, has often sought to control the narrative of human progress, especially when it challenges the doctrines of Christianity or undermines the authority of the Church. The history of a global reset, of lost civilizations with advanced knowledge, could be seen as a threat to the religious and political power that the Vatican sought to maintain. By erasing these civilizations from the historical record, the Church could ensure that the narrative of human development remained in its hands, unchallenged and unquestioned. The idea of a global reset, where civilizations rise and fall in the blink of an eye, is not just a fringe theory, it's a possibility that we must consider when looking at the history of lost civilizations. If Lemuria, Atlantis, and other ancient cultures were indeed destroyed by catastrophic events, then their history might have been buried, not by the sands of time, but by deliberate efforts to suppress the truth. What if the knowledge they possessed was too dangerous for the powers that be? And what if, as we begin to uncover these hidden truths, we are on the verge of discovering a new understanding of our place in the world? The mystery of erased civilizations is far from over. As we continue to uncover the evidence of these lost cultures, we must ask ourselves, what other civilizations have been wiped from the record? And what other secrets might be hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? In the end, the Vatican's role in suppressing the knowledge of these lost civilizations is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, one that asks us to reconsider everything we think we know about the ancient world. The Vatican, a global center of spiritual power, is also rumored to be a custodian of some of the most forbidden and powerful knowledge in the world. Beneath the serene facade of holy documents and religious texts lies a dark and compelling possibility that the Vatican houses knowledge that could rewrite the history of humanity. From ancient technologies that may have once been advanced beyond our wildest imagination to secret sciences lost to time, the Vatican's archives are said to contain relics of a forgotten past hidden from the world, locked away for reasons both obscure and deliberate. The Vatican's archives are not merely a collection of Christian texts. They hold the records of centuries of history, culture, and power. With nearly 85 kilometers of shelves filled with manuscripts, papal documents, and rare maps, the archives contain not only religious and historical artifacts, but also texts from other ancient civilizations, some of which might contain secrets that could challenge the very fabric of modern science. What if these manuscripts contain knowledge of technologies far more advanced than we currently understand? Technologies that could alter the course of history, raise new questions about our origins, or even hint at lost civilizations that existed long before the Church's rise to power. There are stories of researchers who have sought access to these secret texts, only to be denied. There are whispers of maps and blueprints that depict machines, mechanisms, and devices that could be centuries ahead of their time. Some believe that these lost technologies might have been passed down from an ancient civilization, one whose advanced understanding of the natural world was far beyond what we now know. Could the Vatican's archives contain blueprints for free energy, ancient flying machines, or even devices capable of manipulating space and time? If so, why would these discoveries be kept hidden, even from the public and researchers eager to unlock the mysteries of the past? These questions lead us to an unsettling possibility that the Vatican may have actively suppressed this knowledge to maintain control over human progress. For centuries, the Church has wielded enormous influence over education, science, and thought. Could it be that some of the most extraordinary discoveries of antiquity were purposefully kept from public view, deemed too dangerous or subversive to be revealed? The Vatican, after all, has been the gatekeeper of knowledge for much of the Western world, and controlling what the public knows has long been a tool for securing authority. In addition to technological wonders, the Vatican's archives may also hold knowledge of ancient spiritual practices, rituals, philosophies, and secrets that transcend conventional religious teachings. Some believe that the Vatican has suppressed mystical and esoteric knowledge, not only to maintain control over religious doctrine, but also to preserve the power that comes with understanding the hidden forces of the universe. This hidden knowledge might offer insights into the true nature of human consciousness, the origins of life, or the existence of other realms' ideas that would challenge the very foundations of modern faith and scientific thought. The question remains, what exactly is the Vatican hiding within its secret vaults? What knowledge is so powerful, so dangerous, that it could not be allowed to see the light of day? As we venture deeper into the secrets concealed behind these walls, we must confront the unsettling possibility that what the Vatican holds may not just be the history of religion, but the history of humanity itself, lost, suppressed, and hidden for reasons beyond mere belief. Could the Vatican, with its centuries of influence over Western thought, have been safeguarding humanity's most powerful secrets all along? Could they be sitting on the knowledge that could radically transform our understanding of science, history, and spirituality? And if so, will we ever truly know the extent of what they've kept hidden? Among the most mysterious and cryptic items allegedly hidden within the Vatican's archives are its manuscripts. These texts, many of which have never been publicly released, are said to contain languages and illustrations that defy conventional understanding. One of the most infamous of these is the Voynich manuscript, a centuries-old book filled with strange, indecipherable writing and bizarre illustrations. The manuscript is one of the most baffling objects in the world, with no one able to decipher its meaning, language, or purpose. The Voynich manuscript is not the only curious text hidden away in the Vatican's vaults. Many other manuscripts, often believed to be linked to ancient esoteric knowledge, are also kept under lock and key. These texts, dating back hundreds or even thousands of years, are rumored to contain wisdom and technologies that modern society has long since forgotten. The writings within these manuscripts are said to span a wide range of subjects from alchemy to astrology, from the mysterious practices of ancient civilizations to forgotten spiritual teachings. And yet, Despite their importance, these texts remain concealed, their secrets buried in the Vatican's extensive archives. What makes the Voynich manuscript so compelling is not just its mysterious language and illustrations, but the fact that it defies all attempts at translation. Some of the illustrations appear to depict plants, astronomical diagrams, and even scenes of what could be interpreted as ritualistic ceremonies, yet the text accompanying these images remains completely unknown. Many experts have tried and failed to decode its meaning, suggesting that it could represent a forgotten language or even an entirely new form of communication. Others have speculated that the manuscript may contain hidden knowledge, perhaps even a kind of spiritual or scientific code that could unlock secrets of the ancient world. Theories about the origins of the Voynich manuscript abound. Some believe it was created by medieval alchemists or mystics. Others think it could be much older, dating back to the time of the ancient Egyptians or even Atlantis. The Vatican's potential role in safeguarding such a document raises the question, why would they keep such a manuscript hidden? The answer, many believe, lies in the content itself. What if the manuscript holds knowledge of forgotten technologies, lost civilizations, or mystical truths that the Vatican, along with other institutions, finds too dangerous to reveal? It is not only the Voynich manuscript that holds this kind of mystery. Other documents in the Vatican's possession may contain similar hidden knowledge, ancient codes, secret languages, and forgotten philosophies that, if revealed, could challenge established religious and scientific ideologies. The question is not just about the manuscripts themselves, but about the Vatican's control over them. Why has the Church gone to such lengths to conceal these texts? What is so dangerous about their contents that they have been locked away for centuries? Perhaps these manuscripts are not just relics of the past, but keys to understanding the deeper truths of the universe. In a world where scientific progress is often tempered by religious dogma, these hidden texts could represent a bridge between the ancient and the modern, an intersection of knowledge that has been suppressed to maintain control over the masses. The Vatican, with its immense political and religious influence, may have long been the keeper of these secrets, preserving them for reasons that have little to do with faith and everything to do with power. As we examine these hidden manuscripts, we find ourselves confronted with a profound question. What do they reveal about the history of the human race? And more importantly, what are we truly meant to know about the forgotten knowledge that lies within them? The Vatican's role in preserving and concealing these manuscripts may be one of the greatest untold stories of our time. And as we unravel the mystery of these texts, we may come to understand that the truth we've been seeking has been locked away for centuries, hidden, not by accident, but by design. The revelation of these manuscripts could alter the very foundations of what we know about our past and our future. And as we continue to explore the Vatican's role in shaping history, we must ask, what truths are still hidden behind the walls of its archives, waiting to be uncovered? For centuries, the Vatican has been one of the most influential institutions in the world, shaping not just religious beliefs, but also the course of global history. The Vatican's influence over political systems, cultural narratives, and education has been immense. And yet, as the world has evolved, so too has the Church's role. In the modern era, its power seems to have waned in many respects, but it continues to hold significant sway in certain circles, particularly in Europe and parts of Latin America. Still, one question remains. With so many secrets locked away within the Vatican's archives, is the Church preparing to reveal the deep truths it has kept hidden for centuries? Or will these mysteries remain concealed forever, buried beneath layers of time, politics, and religious tradition? In recent decades, the Vatican has faced increasing pressure to modernize. The rise of secularism, the growing importance of science and technology, and the Church's scandalous history have all contributed to a decline in its once unquestioned authority. Despite this, the Vatican still holds tremendous power in global affairs, particularly within the realms of diplomacy and religious influence. It remains a major player in world politics, with its network of ambassadors, advisors, and cultural institutions affecting the outcomes of important global issues. In many ways, the Vatican is both a spiritual and political power, balancing its role as the representative of God on earth with its efforts to maintain its influence over modern society. But in this new age, as the Church grapples with its place in a rapidly changing world, the question of its hidden knowledge becomes all the more pressing. Over the centuries, the Vatican has accumulated immense stores of knowledge, much of it locked away in its private archives. These archives are home to some of the most sensitive and controversial documents in existence, from ancient religious texts to mysterious maps and even the records of lost civilizations. The Vatican has long maintained a policy of secrecy regarding the contents of these documents, claiming that they are not meant for public consumption, often citing the need to preserve the sanctity of the Church's mission. However, with the rise of modern technologies and the increasing transparency in global governance, the question arises: will the Vatican continue to keep these secrets under wraps, or is there a shift coming? One in which these hidden truths will be exposed? Could the Vatican's leadership be preparing to reveal some of the most guarded pieces of knowledge in human history? Or will it hold on to this power for as long as it possibly can? For years, researchers, historians, and conspiracy theorists have speculated about what the Vatican might one day reveal. There are rumors of maps depicting lost continents, documents detailing the true origins of Christianity, and manuscripts containing ancient scientific knowledge that could revolutionize our understanding of the past. The Vatican's archives, it seems, hold the keys to unlocking these mysteries if they ever see the light of day. But with the Vatican's position of power so deeply ingrained in the fabric of global institutions, it remains uncertain whether the Church would ever allow this knowledge to come to the surface. Could the Vatican's decision to reveal or conceal its secrets be tied to a larger strategy for maintaining influence in a world that is increasingly indifferent to traditional religious authority? The Vatican's changing role in history may ultimately be the deciding factor in whether these lost truths are exposed. If the Vatican sees that revealing these secrets could restore its relevance and authority, it might choose to share its most hidden knowledge. Alternatively, it may continue to suppress these revelations to avoid shaking the foundations of its institutional power. The question of the Vatican's future role in unveiling its secrets is a profound one. Will it choose to face the modern world with a new openness, or will it continue to guard its mysteries, ensuring that certain truths remain locked away for generations to come? The direction the Vatican chooses could shape the future of global history itself, for the secrets it holds may not just be the Church's to keep, but humanity's to discover. As we look toward the future, one thing becomes clear. The secrets of the Vatican's past have not yet been fully revealed, and their exposure could be one of the most significant events in human history. But only time will tell whether the Vatican will continue to hold on to its deepest mysteries, or if these ancient truths will finally come to light. As we reach the final stages of this exploration into the Vatican's hidden truths, one undeniable question hangs in the air. What is it that the Vatican doesn't want us to know? For centuries, the Church has been the gatekeeper of history, controlling the flow of knowledge, shaping cultural narratives, and preserving a vision of the past that aligns with its interests. But as we have uncovered throughout this documentary, there are secrets, ancient, powerful secrets that the Vatican has chosen to keep hidden. And what if the truth they are concealing is so profound, so game-changing, that it could alter everything we know about our history? The Vatican's archives are not merely a collection of religious documents. They are a vault of human knowledge, filled with maps, manuscripts, and records that could challenge the very foundation of modern history. Among these records are texts that describe civilizations that predate known history, maps that show continents and lands that have disappeared, and documents that detail technologies and spiritual practices that were thought to be lost to time. If the Vatican were to reveal these secrets, it could change the way we view the origins of humanity and our place in the world. The implications are staggering, for these truths have the potential to unravel entire systems of belief, science, and politics. One of the most compelling mysteries within the Vatican's walls is the series of maps and ancient documents that suggest the existence of lost civilizations. Atlantis, Lemuria, Hyperborea, and others. These civilizations are believed by many to have been erased from history, their knowledge buried beneath the sands of time or lost to cataclysmic events. Yet, there are tantalizing hints that these civilizations may have existed in the distant past, and their knowledge may have been passed down through secret societies and hidden manuscripts. Could the Vatican's archives hold the evidence to prove this? And if so, why would the Church keep it concealed? Another crucial aspect of what the Vatican doesn't want you to know revolves around the true origins of Christianity. For centuries, the Vatican has held the keys to the early texts and manuscripts that describe the life of Christ, the apostles, and the foundations of the faith. Yet, there are other Gospels, ones that were excluded from the official Bible, that contain radically different accounts of early Christianity. These texts, often dismissed as heretical, may offer an entirely new perspective on the birth of the religion. Why were these Gospels hidden, and what could they reveal about the true nature of Christ's teachings? The Vatican's role in shaping the Christian narrative may be far more manipulative than we've been led to believe. The Vatican's hidden knowledge extends beyond just religious texts and lost civilizations. There are accounts of suppressed scientific discoveries, ancient technologies that defy modern understanding. Could these inventions and ideas have been far ahead of their time? And if so, why were they suppressed? The Church's historical resistance to scientific progress, from the heliocentric theory to the suppression of alchemical knowledge, suggests that the Vatican has long sought to maintain control over knowledge and innovation. The truth that the Vatican may be hiding is not just religious or historical, it is the very foundation of human knowledge itself. If these secrets were ever exposed, they would have the power to shake the established order, challenging centuries of accepted truths about religion, science, and our place in history. Could it be that the Vatican has been the keeper of humanity's most transformative knowledge, and is it ready to release it? The answer, however, is elusive. Despite the growing number of whistleblowers, researchers, and historians who are calling for greater transparency, the Vatican has maintained a tight grip on its secrets. The power it holds over the narrative of human history cannot be overstated, and the thought of releasing these truths could be as dangerous to the Vatican's authority as it would be to the foundations of modern civilization. As we reflect on what we've uncovered, one thing becomes clear. The Vatican's secrets have the potential to alter everything we thought we knew about the past. These truths, locked away for centuries, may one day be revealed. But until then, the questions remain. What are they hiding? And how much longer will they keep these secrets from the world? The final revelation may be closer than we think. But for now, we are left to wonder. What are the Vatican's last secrets, and how will they change the way we understand history forever? As we come to the end of this journey into the shadows of history, it's impossible not to pause and reflect on the sheer enormity of what we've uncovered. From the hidden archives of the Vatican to the lost civilizations and suppressed technologies that have been buried in time, one thing is abundantly clear. The world we think we know is only a fraction of the true story. And yet, despite all that has been revealed, many questions remain unanswered, mysteries that continue to haunt our understanding of the past. What have we truly learned? We've uncovered tantalizing glimpses into ancient texts, maps, and artifacts that suggest the existence of lost continents like Atlantis, Hyperborea, and Lemuria, places that were thought to be nothing more than myth. We've delved into the vast archives of the Vatican, piecing together fragments of forbidden knowledge that challenge the official narrative of human history. From ancient maps showing Antarctica before it was frozen, to cryptic manuscripts that may hold the key to long-forgotten technologies, we've only scratched the surface of what might be hidden beneath the Vatican's carefully guarded vaults. Yet, for all the clues and discoveries we've explored, so much still remains locked away. The Vatican, for all its centuries of power, still holds many secrets that we are not yet privy to. What other documents, maps, and manuscripts are hidden within those walls, waiting to be uncovered by a brave few willing to challenge the status quo? What truths could be revealed that would rewrite not just the history of Christianity, but the entire course of human civilization? The questions seem endless. What happened to the advanced civilizations that once thrived on the lost continents of Atlantis, Lemuria, and Hyperborea? Were they truly destroyed by natural disasters, or was there something more sinister at play? And what about the suppressed knowledge, the ancient technologies, philosophies, and spiritual practices that may have been far ahead of their time? Are these truths too, waiting to be brought into the light, or are they deliberately kept hidden to protect the powerful interests that control the narrative of human history? As we reflect on what we have uncovered, it's impossible to ignore the overwhelming sense that there is much more to discover. What lies beneath the surface of our historical understanding? Could the truth still be out there, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover it? The answers to these questions are not just academic, they are deeply personal, tied to our collective sense of identity and our place in the world. If the knowledge we've uncovered is truly as significant as it seems, then we are on the brink of discovering something that could change the way we view ourselves, our history, and our future. But for now, many of these mysteries remain unsolved. Despite the efforts of countless historians, researchers, and whistleblowers, the full extent of the Vatican's hidden knowledge has yet to be revealed. The Church, with its vast influence over global culture, politics, and education, remains a formidable force, one that continues to control what we know and what we don't know about our past. The Vatican's role in shaping history and in concealing certain truths is undeniable. But will it ever choose to release these secrets? Will the world ever be allowed to see the full scope of its hidden archives, or will they remain locked away for centuries to come? The tantalizing nature of these unanswered questions is part of what makes this story so compelling. Every revelation, every clue uncovered, only deepens the mystery and leaves us with more questions than answers. It's the very essence of the unknown that draws us. In this sense, that there is something just beyond our grasp, waiting to be discovered. It's what keeps us coming back, searching for more, seeking the truth in the dark corners of history that have been deliberately kept from the light. But as we stand at the edge of this mystery, we must ask ourselves, what if the answers are out there, and we are simply not looking in the right places? What if the Vatican, and other powerful institutions, have hidden these truths from us for a reason because revealing them would disrupt the very foundations of the world as we know it? The history of humanity is a puzzle, and many of its pieces remain missing. But perhaps the search for those missing pieces is where the real journey begins. As we close this chapter, the story does not end. The questions we've raised will continue to echo in the minds of those who seek the truth. And for those brave enough to pursue these mysteries, the path forward remains uncertain, full of obstacles, hidden agendas, and revelations that could shake the very core of human understanding. The Vatican's secrets are not just relics of the past. They are the keys to a future that remains shrouded in uncertainty. Could the truth still be out there, waiting to be discovered by the right hands? Perhaps. But one thing is certain. The journey to uncover these hidden truths is far from over, and the mysteries we've only begun to touch may hold the power to change everything we thought we knew about history, about the Vatican, and about ourselves. What will the future reveal? Only time will tell. This section leaves the audience with a lingering sense of intrigue, urging them to ponder the mysteries that remain unsolved. As we draw our exploration to a close, the open-ended question of what is still hidden leaves the audience reflecting on the untapped secrets of history, inviting them to consider the broader implications of what has been revealed and what may still be uncovered in the future.